Good evening, sir.
Yes. So you are welcome to yet another advanced rate assurance and forensic. Today we are looking at chapter 5. I hope this chapter has not been taught. You were taught chapter 4 the last time, right? By the second facilitator. Hello?
Yes, sir.
You said what?
This class has never been taught, sir. We're taught by
Thank you
well.
very much. Thank you very much. Just want to clarify because of the mix-up that happened the last time. All right. So we are looking at chapter 5 today. Chapter 5 is about that's practice management. It talks about what is, for some of us that might not have the opportunity to work in an audit firm, it explains the nature of activities that happens in an audit firm. Okay? So, and for those of us that work in audit firm, it's also an avenue for you to have a better understanding of how the audit firm operates. So there are some terminologies that you might not be familiar with, but are being used intermittently by the personnel that work in the audit firm. So once you after this class, you also will be abreast with the information and some of those technologies that are used in the audit firm, so that when they use those technologies, wherever you find yourself, you'll be able to understand what they are trying to say. All right. So before we start, there are some key technologies that we'll be using intermittently in the course of this chapter, and we need to get familiarized with them by understanding what they mean. Okay? So number one is engagement partner. Who is an engagement partner? So an engagement partner is one person, is a senior audit staff. Okay, it's a senior audit personnel that is responsible for the for an audit engagement or for audit engagements and its performance. Okay, so he's the one that is in charge. He's the one that is giving the responsibility that has to do with system of quality management as per each individual audit engagement. Okay, so if there's going to be an audit engagement, it will be the one that will oversee that engagement, if I can use that word. Okay, and for some big four, for those that work in big four, the likes of Deloitte, Ernst and Young, KPMG, and PwC, right? You might have some of these engagement partners that have more than one engagement per time. They handle more than one engagement per time. So it depends on the size of the audit firm that determines the volume of engagement that they will handle. Okay. So, but what you just need to know as per engagement partner is that is an audit personnel that is responsible for each audit engagement and its performance. So he's one that is also responsible for preparing the audit report at the end of the engagement, because he takes the leadership of that engagement. So he's the one that every other person in that engagement team they report to. So he's the leader of the engagement team, and also is responsible for ensuring that the system of quality management is implemented in that engagement. Okay. Number two, we have engagement quality review. Now, I need to also explain to us. This is one of those chapters that the new ICAN syllabus greatly impacted. Okay, the new ICAN syllabus that was released in for implementation in November 2025, right? That syllabus affected or changed a lot of things that you used to know with this chapter 5. Okay, so before now, where I have the engagement quality review, you have engagement quality control review. You always have that control there, right? But now, because of the revised standard, okay? Now, before now, there are only two standards that were used in this chapter. You have the ISA 220 Okay, that talks about the quality control within quality control within each individual engagement. Okay, we have only that one then, and we have ISQC number 1 that talks about the quality control that happens within the audit firm. So that's what we have. Okay, but this standard, that standard ISQC number 1 has been repealed and it has been replaced with ISQM number 1, which means International Standard of Quality Management, and ISQM number 2, which is International Standard of Quality Management number 2. And the ISA 220 also has been revised. So it's now ISA 220 revised. Please take note of this, okay? So we are not going to be making reference to quality control, all right? Majorly, essentially, right? We're going to focus more on the system of quality management that is obtainable in an audit firm, okay? So that is what I need us to understand. So like I said, I was on the B part, engagement quality review. So before now, I said that you used to have engagement quality control review, but please, in the exam, that's why I'm emphasizing it. Do not put control. Control relates to the repealed auditing standard. The new standard does not have control, and that's why I've replicated it here also. Please, because these are some of the little things that make students to lose some marks. Imagine, I don't have institutions only tell me, I got 48 or 49. These are some of the things that make students to lose mark. Please, control is no longer included in that. You only have engagement quality review. Okay, so it's a process that is designed to provide an objective evaluation on or before the date of the auditor's report and significant judgment the engagement team made and the conclusions is reaching formulating the auditor's report. So let me just explain what it means. So once the engagement is done, when the engagement partner and the engagement team they are done with the engagement, if you know what once they are done, what they're supposed to do is to meet, okay, because they have already collected their audit report and everything and their working papers, is to publish, is to approve get the audit report approved, then publish it, right? That's what it's supposed to do. But if they do that, there might be some areas that the engagement partner might have glossed over or might have overlooked, and which in turn exposes the audit firm to form of liabilities, audit liabilities. Okay, audit liabilities means exposure that may make them to be sued by the client, okay, for damages or for whatever. Okay, so what happened is that because he cannot see everything, there must be somebody that is senior, more experienced, that is now being given the mandate to further review what the engagement partner has done and be sure that what the engagement partner did is what is the right thing. Because I've always said is that auditing is what is scientific. What do I mean by scientific? When it's something scientific, what does it mean? That is, if everybody follow the process to the letter, you're going to achieve the same result. That's what they mean by something is scientific. So audit also is scientific. So if all the tests that's supposed to have been done, all the procedures that's supposed to have been done, if all the activities that's supposed to have been done by the engagement team, by the time the that person that has been assigned to review what they have done, he was not part of that person that is going to that review process. This review process, this quality review process, is done by someone that was not on that team. Please note that person is not on the engagement team. Okay, it's an independent person, so it's an independent evaluation. That person did not go with them, so he's going to use the reports, all the documentation that has been provided. That is the working papers and the report, and see whether if he runs through it, assuming that he went and did the engagement all by himself, whether he's going to achieve the same conclusion as the engagement team, which is being led by the engagement partner. You understand? I hope you understand what I'm saying. So that is what he does. So auditing is scientific. So if you follow all the steps, all the procedures, you should arrive at the same conclusion. So if they don't arrive at the same conclusion, then there might be there might be a need for them to meet and discuss those areas that they have disagreement, which we are going to talk more of later. All right. But that is what is a process. That process, that independent assessment or evaluation that is done in order to ensure that all the audit reports, before they are dated and signed, and the working papers are being reviewed, okay, and ensure that there are no areas that exposes the audit firm to any form of what? Liabilities. Okay? That is that process. So the person that does that process is known as the engagement quality reviewer. So that engagement quality reviewer is more experienced than the engagement partner. Okay? Yes, someone is raising hand. Please ask your question, Jeremiah.
Yes, please. So I one time on Twitter I saw somebody post that he's working in Big Four. So the
Mm-hmm.
person posts that they send someone from UK to Nigeria or other country like that to come and review their work. So is that
Yes,
person part of this
it's part of the work.
engagement?
It's part of it. So for the Big
Okay.
Four, right? For the Big Four, we are going to get to that. All right. Let me not jump. We are going to get to that, but it's part of the review that we are talking about. Okay. So let me also paint another angle so that you understand this thing, what I'm trying to say. So for those of us that work in organizations where they have adopted what is it called? ISO 9001, 2015. That is the quality management system. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I want to read that we have some people, we have some of our students that work in such organizations. Why do you think they have those process? Why do you think they have gotten certified in those certifications or by those um, certificate issuing organization? Why do you think they got it? One of the reasons why they got it, number one, is to ensure that their processes are standardized. When you talk about something standardized, what does it mean? That is, any form of delay, any form of wastages, anything that can bring about bottlenecks to a large extent has been removed from the system. So the system flows seamlessly. That's number one. Number two is also to gain what we call international recognition. So when you say you have your process that is standardized, it stands you out amongst your other contemporaries or contemporary organization, right? That's what it means, right? The other thing you also need to note here is that you see that the way the organization is being run is different from the way it was run before they obtained that certification. There will have been so many improvements, so many changes to the way they do things just to conform with that standard. You understand what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. So in audit firms, we might not have this ISO stuff being replicated there, right? But they have their own system. They have put in place a system that mirrors what happens in the other organizations that I made mention of. So that audit firm, there is a service organization. Okay, it's an audit firm, it's a service organization. So theirs is to ensure that they conform with the international standard on quality management. You understand? That is, if you take all the audit firms, look at the way they go about their work, you see that they have some form of semblance. There are some form of something that is common to both of them, even though they might be approaching it from different way, but you see that at the end of the end goal for all of them is still the same because they have all embraced what is known as what? The ISQM, International Standard on Quality Management, number one and number two. I hope that is clear. So this person, like I said, is a senior partner, right? He has more experience than the engagement partner. So he's going to look at all of that. His method that has been assigned to review all of that document, working papers, the audit report, before it is signed and dated. And where he has some discrepancies or disagreements with what the engagement team has done, he's going to call them and ask them what was the reason. So they have to agree on how to resolve those differences, if there is any. I hope that is clear. Then we have another one, engagement team. Now, engagement team is the whole team that embarks on an audit engagement. So if you have some people from an audit firm visit your organization, say they want to conduct audit, that team that came they are known as the engagement team. Okay? That team is known as what engagement. So in that engagement, you are going to have the lead. That person that says that we are here on behalf of S and Young, PWC, BDO, all of that. That person that introduces the other team members to the rest of the clients where they are going to do audit. That person is usually the engagement partner. Is one that leads the engagement team. So in the engagement team, you have the audit manager, you have the audit senior, you have the audit intern, you have the audit trainee. Okay? So that is the order. In some, if you go to the big four, they also have experts that accompanies them. So experts, like I said, I'm not sure I've said it. If I've said it, this is another opportunity for those that did not hear me when I said it. And if I've not said it, yes, this is another opportunity for you to learn. Now, experts in audit, I need to explain that when you talk about some of these things, it's not the same way you look at it when you're looking at it from the angle of English. So in English, when I say you are an expert, it means that you are knowledgeable about something, right? That is in English. But when I make mention of expert in audit, I mean someone that has competence in other fields outside accounting and audit is an expert, according to ISA 620. Someone, organization that has competence in other areas outside accounting and audit. So examples of this set of experts are solicitors, lawyers, engineers, architects, actuaries, right? Gemologists, which other person? Risk management consultant, IT consultant. All of these people I made mention of, they are considered experts. So if you are going for any audit, at the planning stage, you ought to have thought of them. They are going to need their services or not. Not that when you started, you now say, I think I need the service of a lawyer to interpret one of this information to me. That would have been too late. As an auditor, you have to be proactive. So you have to, at your planning stage, you should have decided on whether you need the service of these experts or not. So that is what, and they don't form part of the engagement team. I'm repeating, they do not form part of the what? Engagement team. You can see it's here. It's boldly written here. This excludes the auditor's external experts engaged by the firm. Okay? They don't form part of the engagement team. The engagement team, I repeat, is made up of engagement partner, audit manager, audit senior, audit intern, audit trainee. That is the composition of the engagement team. I hope that is clear. All right? So another thing that is I didn't say, well, guys, we cannot put everything in this material. Another thing you also need to know is the person that manages the audit firm. So as you have CEO in organizations, we also have CEOs in audit firm, but we don't call them CEOs in audit firm. We call them managing partners. So whoever is the owner of the audit firm, all right, or whoever is in charge of an audit firm, usually regarded as what the managing partners. Okay, do you understand? So that's what we mean. Okay, we have managing partners. So I think that is clear. Any question? Any question? Any
Yes,
comment?
sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Please go
Okay,
ahead.
so the experts are only required at the planning stage, but they don't go
No,
for the engagement.
no, what happened is this. If you are going to use any expert, any auditor's expert, you ought to have thought of it at the planning stage. Do you understand? So they will have been consulted. And when you are going for the engagement, they will come when there is a need for them to act or to perform any role or any task or any activity on your behalf. But we don't consider them as part of the engagement team. That's what I'm saying. But for the big four, right? But for the big four in the organization, in the audit firms, the big four that I just make reference to, in-house, they have their experts. They don't consult externally. All their experts are staff of the audit firm, the big four. So you go to KPMG, you are going to see surveyors, you are going to see engineers, you are going to see architects, you are going to see lawyers, you are going to see risk management consultants, you are going to see IT consultants. All of them they are part of their staff. So when they are going for any audit and they require the service of these experts, they will need to go with them. That's what I'm saying. But they do not form, they go on their own, okay? They will come at when they need them. For instance, they have set out, the engagement team has set out to the client's office or client's premises. They might call me maybe a week later or 2 weeks later, do whatever they want to do, and they get out of there. Do you understand what I'm saying? But they do not form part of the engagement team. Although, when they are done with with their own side of the engagement, right, they are going to report. They are going to submit their report to the engagement partner. The engagement partner takes responsibility of whatever they have done. We are going to look at that when we get to chapter 8 in a more elaborate manner. Okay? So, any other question? I hope I'm able to answer your question, madam.
Sorry, sir.
Okay, good.
Sorry,
Yes,
Abeg,
ask your question.
recap this engagement team. Sorry, sir.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Also, that's my question, please, sir.
Okay. The engagement
Okay.
team is made up of the leader, who is the engagement partner. You have the audit manager, you have the audit senior, you have the audit intern, and you have the audit trainee. That is the composition of the engagement team. So their work is to go to the audit, to go to the client and perform audit procedures on the engagement. That is what they go there to do. So that's when they come to your offices, they will see them and say, you handle receivables, you handle sales, you handle COGS, you handle this one. You see the way they divide them. That is the way they are. So each of them, they have already been debriefed of what they need to do. So they are coming there to do the work as required. They have been directed, they have been debriefed that this is when you get there, these are the areas you are going to handle. So that is the way they have done it. I hope that is clear. Any other question? Any other question? Are we good? Can I proceed?
Sir, can you call the composition of the engagement team one last time?
You are taking our time. Oh.
It's a recorded class.
Engagement partner. In case you didn't hear, this is a record. You are going to have it there. You can replay it as several times as possible. This is a recorded class. Okay? Can we proceed, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can
Okay,
proceed.
All right. Thank you. So, like I said, before we proceed, I need to let us know that audit firm, like I said for other organizations, when we have the QMS, quality management system, we might not have QMS in audit firm. What they have is a system of quality management. What that implies is that there is a way an audit firm is supposed to run. Okay, and they have all the documentation. They have all it takes to run the audit firm in such manner. So that order of operation that is expected to happen in an audit firm is what is regarded as what is system of quality management. I hope that is clear. It's what is known as what the system of quality management. Okay, so let's go. So when you have, what are the advantages of having a good quality management system or system of quality management? Number one, it allows for greater competitiveness and client retention. So what does that mean? What this means is that if you go to, you know that audit firms, they are categorized into three. We have the big four, you have the second tier, and you have the small, medium audit firm. I take it again. Audit firms, globally, they are classified into three. You have the big four, you have second tier audit firms, and you have the small, medium audit firms. That's the categorization of audit firms. So the big four, like I said, are the PwC, KPMG, Deloitte, and which other one? Ernst & Young. Those are the big four. Why are they called big four? Because they are you find them, they are so organized that you find them in virtually all countries of the world. There's no country where you don't have them. All right, and they are well structured and they have a good system of quality management in place. Then the second tier, they are the next in line. Okay, some of these second tier also, some of them are also found in many countries or almost all the countries of the world. The likes of PKF, Panek and Foster, okay, the likes of Grant Thornton, the likes of Bicatili, the likes of BDO. Okay, all of these I mentioned, they are considered as what? Second tier audit firms. Okay, so some of them, if you know them, you see that they are found also. They are also common in many countries of the world. But the small medium audit firm, those ones are usually regional based or locally based. Those are the ones you have like Adebayo Desalo and Co, child accountant, or Ola and Co, or Undubisi and Co, child accountant. All these ones are small medium audit firms. Okay, I hope that is clear. So what I'm trying to say is this: as you have those categorization, somebody is asking a question. Yes. I don't understand. Tolu, I know you put here. Don't mislead students. So
No, those for those that were asking the component, like those in engagement
expert
team.
is not part of
So I
them.
just have to,
Expert is
okay,
not
sir.
part of them. Please. That's why I said don't mislead. Okay. We have engagement partner. We have I didn't even put reviewer there. Reviewer is not part of them. You have engagement partner. You have audit manager, audit senior, audit intern, audit training. That is the composition of the audit engagement team. Okay. The reviewer is not there. Expert is not there. Please don't include them in your composition, please. Okay. So as I was saying, so we have this categorization, and you see that this categorization has been in existence for years. And what do I mean for years? That is, for years now, I've not seen where they added one to the big four, now making big five. We have had big four for over 15 or 20 years now. All right. So what does that mean? That means that each of them have their own area where they play. Okay, they have their own level where they play. All right. So that is what we mean by competitiveness. That is, everybody is when we talk about competition, or when we talk about competition, what it means technically is everybody is working to better their performance or improve on their performance. Okay. So that is what it means. All of them, they are doing what they're supposed to do, and they also retain their clients. You only when maybe there is a need, you will see a client say that, oh, I'm not comfortable with a small medium audit firm. I'm going to second tier, or I'm going to big four. Not if he's going to big four, he's not going because the small medium audit firm has a lower quality, a lower system of quality management. No, he's going there because there is a need. There is a request. Okay, maybe there is a demand, maybe there is an expectation of certain investors or stakeholders or intended users of that particular organization that requires them to get the big four or the second audit firm to be the external auditor, but it's not on the basis of low or poor quality management, quality system of quality management. Okay. So that's what we mean by that. Secondly, superior risk management in terms of issuance of incorrect audit opinion and being sued for negligence. So what that means is that if you remember when I was explaining those terms, I talk about engagement quality review. So that process of engagement quality review is the one that helps to reduce this risk of issuing an incorrect audit opinion, because if there is an issue, they will have noticed it in-house. Not that when a thing has been proved, we have to record, because once the audit report is issued, it's not easy. It cannot be recorded. All right. So before the audit report is issued, they need to ensure that whatever they are going to publish is the correct audit report. Okay. Because if they don't, they will be sued for negligence. So that is what the essence of engagement quality review tries to checkmate. All right. The number three, more informed decision making. So if you agree with me, the composition of the audit engagement team, you see that you have different people there, different personnel in an engagement team. Now, each of these member of this team, they are assigned task and responsibility. So most times you see that the engagement partner, I said it, that the engagement partner is involved in so many other engagement, not one, not two. So he might not have the time or the chance to sit with them every time. But because he has delegated responsibility responsibility to them, so at intervals he will come and say, okay, what have you achieved? He will monitor, supervises whatever they needed to do, and be sure that at the end of the day, whatever they have done, they should be able to defend it. So they are going to be giving information that will help the engagement partner to write a report that is holistic. So everybody's take is on that report. It's not the engagement partner's report it's not the engagement partner effort only that makes up the audit report. He also consult with the other members of the engagement team. And sometimes when there are contentious area, the engagement partner will also consult with senior audit partner within the audit firm. So everybody is involved to be sure that whatever is being reported by the audit firm is the actual, is the authentic, is the correct audit report. So that's what they mean by that, okay? Then the next one, enhance firm's culture and internal communication. So what that means is that if you are going for any, if you ever work in any audit firm, they always have a culture. Okay, they have a culture. Culture here means the way they go about their things. Before they go for any engagement, first of all, they will have a brief meeting. They call it opening meeting. Okay, in-house. They are going to have a meeting where they are going to dissect and analyze the client they are going to audit. So it's not that when they are there, it's not that when they get to the client, they're not asking the manager, so who is this? What this organization? What do they do? They don't ask that question there. All of these questions, who are the management of this organization? They will have analyzed, discussed all of this matter before they set out for the engagement. So that is the culture. Okay. And internal communication means everybody is already aware. Everybody is aware of what they are going to do. Okay. And when there is a need for maybe consultation, those people are also aware. So the communication channel in audit firm is well robust enough to accommodate dissemination of important information. Okay. Then the next one, stronger sense of accountability and inclusiveness. I've also explained this using the composition of the audit team, engagement team. So everybody, the engagement partner, audit senior manager, all of them, they are giving responsibility. And once there is responsibility, there's accountability. And it's also form the basis of what we call inclusiveness. Okay. They have a sense of belonging. The next one, greater adaptability and preparedness. So like I said, this is also similar to enhanced firm's culture and internal communication. What this means is that before you go for any audit, there are certain things that you're already inclined to doing. You have to do your KYC, you have to do your due diligence, you have to do all of these things before you set out. All right. So you don't get there and you become lost. You're already equipped with the right information about your client. So you know what questions you should ask, you know what information you should request, you know what document you should request, you know what to do when you get there. You are not roaming about, you are not loitering around. You know why you are there. So that's when they always go. You see that sometimes they all the time they give them deadline. You will spend 2 weeks, you're going to spend 3 weeks. After the third week, you see them they move. They will go back to their offices to go and continue with the engagement. So that means they have time limit to getting things done. Okay. Then there is enhanced recruiting, retention, and morale. So what this one means is that if you go to audit, if you work in audit firm, you will see that they are exposed to high level of training. Especially for those that work in a big four, which are going to look into later. Those that work in big four, they're exposed to foreign training, local training, professional training. They do all of those things just to expose them and prepare them for the challenges ahead in their engagement. Okay. And all of this helps to retain the staff. Sometimes the staff are not retained because of salary. Sometimes because of the kind of investment, the kind of ownership, shared ownership that exists in an audit firm. Because they work as a team. Just like in football now, you have 11 players. One person cannot say that he is the greatest. Okay? It takes all the other players to make one person to become the greatest. All right? So all of this combined also results in what we call a boost their morale. So you hardly will you see all these staff move from one audit firm to the other. They do it too. I'm not saying they don't do it. But what normally happens is that most audit staff, they move from their audit firm to other sectors like oil and gas, banking, agro-allied, FMCG, conglomerate, and the likes. Okay. that one for them is more profitable, because if you go to the only people that move, they're not in the categories of audit staff, are those that work in small medium audit firm, but sometimes they don't get paid. Their remuneration is very poor. So some of them, they get they seek employment in the other big four or the small second tier audit firm, just for them to leverage. Okay, to leverage. But after that, see that they move, they don't go to say, okay, I want to end up there. Some of them, they will just launch to the banking, launch to other sectors of the economy. And what you also need to note here is that when you don't change your staff frequently, when you don't have high attrition rate for staff, high labor turnover for staff, what happens is that the recruitment cost is already saved. And you know that in some organizations, recruitment cost is huge. And if this money is not spent, what does it do? It's going to increase the profitability of such organization, of such an audit firm. Those are the advantages. Now, when there is poor quality management or poor system of quality management, what happens? There will be legal damages and legal costs. That is, all the clients, they will start complaining, and before you know, they will sue for negligence, they will sue for non-performance, they will sue for so many things, and they also claim damages. So the audit firm also will go and get lawyer, engage lawyer, pay for legal services, which will increase the legal costs. All right. Another thing, when that happens, the loss of clients is also evident. Okay, the loss of clients is what is evident, because it just takes one person to make it to the social media and say that this audit firm is not this, and you see that all the clients will withdraw their services from the audit firm. Then it also leads to adverse publicity and reputational damage. And you know that reputational damage is one of the worst things that can happen to an organization. Once they call out an organization, they say this organization is bad or is not competent, you know that it takes time before they can rebuild the reputation. Okay, it's very, very difficult. Then, when all of this are happening, the institute will also be on the look. So they also carry out investigation. And when they find the partners of the audit firm, the managing partner of the audit firm, guilty for poor performance or lack of good system of quality management, their licenses could be what? Could be withdrawn as part of disciplinary proceedings that can happen. I hope that is clear. Any question? Any question? Any comment? Any observation? We are good to go, right? All right,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you. So we move on. Now, when you're looking at system of quality management that happens in an audit firm, they can be looked at from two angles. We call it the quality control procedures, okay? We call it the procedures for system of quality management, whichever way you call it, okay? There are two. We have the first one that has to do with each individual audit engagement, and we have the one that talks about the audit firm as a whole. So let's explain. So when you talk about each individual audit engagement, what do we mean? Now, by each individual audit engagement, what we mean here is that for each audit engagement, right, there is a need for somebody to be charged with the responsibility of a system of quality management. And the person will normally charge with the responsibility of system of quality management for each individual audit engagement. For each individual audit engagement, it's usually the engagement partner, because it's the one that is spearheading the engagement. So all the responsibility lies with him. Okay, so he's the one that's going to ensure that all the system of quality management, they're in place. What will he do? Number one, the team that he has put together, he must ensure that the team, they have the technical competence to perform the engagement. That is, they are technically sound. And that's why you see that you go to audit firm, you see that it's just now that the JAPA syndrome has really impacted negatively the audit firm. Prior to now, audit firm will say that they want fresh graduate first class or 2-1 within the age of 21 and 22. Excuse me. But what has happened these days now is that all those people that have first class and 2-1 that are within that age of 21, 22, most of them, they don't want to remain in Nigeria. They have left Nigeria for greener pastures. So most of the audit firms now, I'm not sure they are still seeking for that kind of people again because they are not stable. So most of the audit firms now, they are seeking experienced audit staff or experienced staff that they know that, okay, this one we want to stay in Nigeria, okay? Because sometimes you need to be around physically to conduct audit. It's not all the time that you'll be doing it virtually, okay? So, and most of these age 21, 22, 23, once they become chartered like this, they just decide to leave the country because they feel that there are greener pastures outside the country, which I don't blame them anyway. So what happened is that he ensures that that team is competent. That's number one. Number two, he ensures that he ensures that they have the right tools to carry out the engagement. What are their tools? They have their work tools, the computers, the laptops. They must provide them with it. Sometimes they even need to provide them with means of transportation. If you are going to audit a client that is located in a far distance, sometimes I need to buy air ticket for them to travel. In some audit firm where I've worked, they have to lodge us in an hotel. We did that audit in Apapa. So, and you know, Apapa is an area that is always full of traffic. So to avoid wastage of time lost in traffic, they lodge us in hotel for 3 weeks. So that as we are waking up like this, we are reporting at the client office. So we can maintain the 3 weeks or 2 weeks that you're supposed to spend there and get the report out sooner than expected. Okay, that's what I mean by one of the things he needs to do. Another thing he also needs to do is that he must ensure that they comply with the ethical requirements. What do we mean by that? Those things that we discussed in chapter 3, anything that can pose threat, intimidation threat, self-interest threat, self-review threat, advocacy threat, familiarity threat. And they must also ensure that all the staff that are part of the engagement team, they also comply with those fundamental principles. As a matter of fact, even before they set out on the engagement, they always ask them, we are going to audit so and so. Does anyone or any one of you have somebody or know somebody in that organization we are going to? The reason they're asking this question is that one person you know there can influence the entire audit engagement. So they will always ask. And if you know somebody there, it's expected for you to do what? To report, identify, indicate, and say, yes, I know something. So once you indicate, what happens is that they are going to step you down and allocate you to another engagement, not that particular engagement, because they believe that your presence there can influence the audit engagement. So that's what they normally do. But if you choose not to be honest, that's integrity. You decided to go, and they later found out that you know somebody that works in that organization, and that person can influence that organization can influence the audit engagement. Such audit staff will be penalized according to the policy of the audit firm. All right. So that's one. That's two. Three, he must ensure that he maintains what is called existing and new clients. Now, you know that audit firm also, as big as they are also looking for more clients. All right. I hope you know. They're not satisfied with one client. They also need more clients. They need more money. So before they go for any engagement, any new engagement, the engagement partner will first of all carry out due diligence, or we call it KYC, know your client, to be sure that whoever the client they want to engage now is not someone that is going to be involved in all this money laundering, that is not going to implicate the audit firm as being aiding and abetting what? Money laundering. Okay? Another thing he also needs to do is that he also ensures that he portrays what? Good leadership and governance. What does it mean? What does that mean? So it's not all the time that the engagement partner will be available, right? So when he's not available, he has the power to delegate authority, even though the authority still lies with him, right? He delegates authority to maybe the audit manager, all right? That, okay, I'll be away. I'll not be there with you, but while I'm away, you take charge. And these are the things you need to do. You must give me the report on a daily basis. Okay? That's what we mean by governance. And also, sometimes also, it might be on leave. Right? There may be leave, or there might be a need that is not around. When he's not around, he needs to appoint someone that he knows can occupy that position, that can sit in for him. You know, in our office, we have what we call reliever or delegated authority. When you are going, you always ask, who is going to be your duty reliever? I don't know whether you have it in your organization, but the organizations where me have worked, when you are going on leave, they ask you, who is your duty reliever? So that in case you are going away for relaxation or for vacation, somebody should be there to fill in the gap. They should not miss your absence. All right. So that's the same thing he needs to do. Then he also ensures that he also ensures what we know as what engagement performance. He reviews, he supervises, he monitors the engagement wherever he is. Even though he might not be there with them physically, sometimes he organizes virtual meeting, and all of them will be on that call, and they are going to deliberate on how the audit is going, okay, is proceeding. And we're going to talk about the status, challenges, problem, whatever, okay? Then also, he ensures there's what we call risk management, risk assessment, and remediation. What that means is that when there are challenges that may pose problem for the entire audit, it needs to be communicated. We need to communicate with him and say, oh, sir, this thing supposed to spend 3, but the way we are, if we don't get into the results, it might extend our stay, we might extend the audit report from coming out. So it will need to also be there, right, to ensure that all those challenges are tackled. All right. When there is any challenge, all those challenges are what? Are tackled. He ensures that as well. All right. Then another thing he also does is that he ensures good communication and information assessment or information delivery. So any information that he knows that it might be of importance to the engagement team, what does he do? He communicates. Okay, he communicates such information to them so that it's going to aid their performance. All right. So all of these are what he does as the engagement partner. And if you look at all of this, is a way to ensuring that the system of quality management is in place. All right, system of quality management is what is in place. So it's the one person that is in charge of each individual audit engagement. I hope that is clear. And also, when he's done with the engagement, they are going to collate.
Sorry, please, can you help us to scroll your screen so that we can see what you are reading? Thank
Yes, sir. Not moving, sir.
Okay. So that's the screen, okay? That's the screen. So he ensures that, like I said, for new engagements, for existing engagement. Now, what you also need to realize here is that because you are carrying out an engagement, you are not that did it last year, does not qualify that you'll be able to do it this year. If there are some situations, for instance, if the client business has changed over in the course of time, because you did it last year, you might not have the capacity to continue this year. So that might be need for you to say, audit the management of the audit firm. I don't think we are in the best position to continue with this audit. So all of these will be discussed. All right. So I was saying that when it's done with the engagement, like I said, right? All of the working paper, what is working paper? All the information he obtained during the audit engagement, together with the audit report, they are not yet signed, neither are they dated. All of it will be presented to the engagement quality reviewer. Okay, he's going to evaluate and look at, and I have explained what the person will do to us. In his evaluation, he's going to discuss significant matters with engagement partner, all those areas, okay? They're going to review financial statement and the proposed auditor's report. All right. They are going to review selected audit documentation related to a significant judgment because as the engagement partner, You also have what is known as what? Professional judgment. You can make professional judgment. And that professional judgment is subject to what? Subject to review by the engagement quality reviewer. All right. And also, some of your conclusions that you have arrived at, we also need to be subjected to what? Evaluation. For instance, maybe when you are done with the audit, you said that, oh, the management, this account or this client, their audit report should be what? Qualified. But the engagement quality reviewer might say that no, I think it's a clean audit report. And it's going to give you reasons why it's a clean audit report. So when there are disagreements like that, there's a need for them to align with what is the policy of the audit firm. So if the audit firm says that when there is disagreement, you should always go in the line of the engagement quality reviewer, or you should always go in the line of the engagement partner, whatever they say, whatever the policy stipulates, that is what they are going to comply with. All right. Any questions so far? So this is it here. That's what I mean by difference in opinion. And you see. So if difference in opinion arise within the engagement team or with those consulted, where applicable between the engagement partner and the engagement quality reviewer, right, shall follow the firm's policy and procedure in dealing with resolving the differences in opinion. You can see that it's there. All right. Hope we are good. Any question before we proceed? Any question? Are we
No,
good to
sir.
go?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So we go to the second stage, the second procedure, sorry. We just finished looking at the each individual audit engagement as a quality control procedure, okay? Now, the second one is the audit firm as a whole. And looking at the audit firm as a whole, what we mean here is that how does the audit firm, as an organization, how do they ensure that the system of quality or is implemented? That's what we want to look at now. And two standards are what we are going to use. And two standards are the International Standard of Quality Management number 1, the International Standard of Quality Management number 2. Both of them were issued by the International Auditing and Assurance Standard Board, and the effective date of implementation is 15 December 2022. All right? So this standard, please mute your mic. Oh. This standard, these two standards, they have replaced the ISQC number 1, like I said earlier, okay? So ISQC number 1 is no longer in force. So why am I saying this? So if you go and pick ICAN pass question now, let's say you pick ICAN pass question 2022 or 2023, what you are going to see there is ISQC. So what that means is that if you see a question like that now, just know that you should be answering it in line with ISQM number 1 and number 2, no more ISQC. So when you are looking at the solution now, as at the date the exam were wrote or were sat for, yes, ISQC was in force. But in 2026, what you have in force on ISQC number 2. So when you are looking at past questions, that's why I say you have to be innovative as students. You have to be what? You have to be innovative. So when you're looking at past questions, right, you need to look at it vis-a-vis what is currently in use. So let me give another scenario. So you look at ISQC number 1 now. In 2023, if a question is being asked, if you look at those principles or those elements that must be in place in ISQC, there are 6 of them, only 6. But now with ISQM number 1, that number has increased to 8. So when you're asking the question now, you are looking at past question. Don't answer that past question with the information that is stayed. Answer the past question with the current information. So when you're looking at past questions 2026, and you see a question on ISQC number 1, just change the ISQC number 1 to ISQM number 1. All right? And answer it appropriately. Your answer will be different from what you have in the ICAN Pathfinder. Yes, because you are looking at what is in use as of today. Please, don't be dogmatic and say that, oh, let me go by that answer. That answer, if you go and write that answer in 2026, I'm sorry, oh, they may repeat the same question. We just change that standard to ISQM. Don't go and fall victim and say, and you have memorized that answer, you now point out like that. For instance, like that one is 6, this one is 6. Go and write 6. Those 6 are different from the 8 that you know now. They are going to lose big marks. So to avoid stories that touch, that's why I'm giving you these tips now. Okay? So please, always try to be what? Proactive and innovative. All right? So these are the names of the standards, right? So you can see, we have looked at ISA 220 revised. We have looked at that. That's the first one we look at. So the one that has to do with each individual audit firm as a whole, the relevant standard for that one is ISA 220. You understand? That first one that we just explained, each individual audit engagement, the relevant standard you are going to use as a reference is ISA 220 revised. That is the standard. While for the second one, we're going to focus on that is the audit firm as a whole. The second quality procedure, right? Quality control procedure. We're going to focus on these two. Quality management, ISQ, International Standard of Quality Management for firms that perform audits and or reviews of financial statements or other assurance or related services engagement. Then the second one, ISQM number 2, is strictly on engagement quality reviews. I hope that is clear. Please note it too, okay? All right. So let's proceed. So ISQM number 1, we're going to take them one after the other. ISQM number 1, what does he intend to achieve? So this is designed to design, implement, and operate a system of quality management that provides the firm with reasonable assurance that the firm and its personnel fulfill their responsibility. Then 2, management engagement reports are appropriate and comply with what? Standards and what? With laws. That's the main essence, the main objective of ISQM number 1. Now, let's talk about ISQM number 1. There are 8 components that you need to, those components are also divided as 8 elements. They are not 6 now, they are now 8. So please take note. So they are now 8. So the 8 are governance and leadership. What does that mean? That is, in an audit firm, there must be a policy that states how the quality will be what? Will be achieved. How the system of quality objective will be achieved in the audit firm. So in the audit firm also, they also have a quality manual. They also have a quality policy. Just like in your organization that have implemented QMS 2001, 2015, right? You also have what is called what? Quality manual and quality policy. Okay? So they also have their own quality policy. That this is what quality policy or the quality manual has what is called, they have some quality objective. And the quality objectives are to be what? To be measured. So when you say you want to make, when you talk about quality, what we mean by that? Quality is not something that is generic. It must be what? It must be measured. So when I say that I want to maintain quality, so what that means is that I, as a facilitator, I want to ensure that out of, let's say, 16 students that is sitting on this paper, I want to ensure that all the 16 students pass this paper. Okay? That's my quality objective. That means it's realistic, which is possible. You understand? If I've done all that I needed to do, and you also have done all that you needed to do, there's nothing stopping you from passing this paper. That's my quality objective. All right? Another thing I also need to do is that I must ensure I train. I must ensure I deliver all that is expected. So I must give everything to you. All that you need to pass, I must give it to you. And you also need to do your own bit to pass. Do you understand? So they are what those objectives must be measurable. So what that means is that also when the leadership, and I said, who is the leader of who is the head of the audit engagement, who is the leader of the audit firm? I said is the managing partner. Whenever he's not around, there should be somebody that can sit in for him and get work done. They should not wait for him to be there. There are times where we call. Maybe he travels, maybe he's sick, maybe something happened, okay? whoever has been designated to sit in on his behalf, that person will now take responsibility and also take accountability, whatever is needed to do. They will not need to wait for the managing partner to be around before they continue. Number two, he must ensure. So what I'm saying here is that when you say you have a system of quality management in your audit firm, these are what they are going to use to measure your system of quality management. Number two, you must have relevant ethical requirements. What does that mean? That is, in your audit firm, you must ensure that you comply with all the ethical requirements. Those ones that we discussed in chapter 3. Independence, objectivity, confidentiality, conflict of interest, professional behavior, technical competence and due care. All of these fundamental principles must be complied with as a firm. What that means is that if you are going for any engagement, you are expected to be truthful. So if your client is not truthful, you have to let them know that if they cannot be open to you, you might not continue with the engagement. So let them know where you stand. You understand? And also, the firm should also, as part of the appraiser of the audit staff, every year, they should also appraise their staff on these ethical requirements and be able for them to be sure that, of this our staff, these are the set of people, all of them, they comply with the ethical requirements. So they have to be appraised on it. And how will you appraise them? Is when they go for the engagement, the way they behave over there. If they decide to collude with the client, decide to do one thing that we, at the expense of the audit firm, those are the ways you are going to know. All right, you're going to appraise them on an annual basis and to be able to also allow for continuous improvement. Okay. Number 3, acceptance and continuance of engagement. What does this mean? So what this means is that, like I said earlier, audit firm also, they are still looking for money. Even Dangote is still looking for money. Over 2 weeks or some weeks back, I learned that he went to Kenya to launch, they call it groundbreaking. He wants to establish the refinery, the one he has in Nigeria. He wants to set a replica there in Kenya. So E2 is also looking for money, more money. Likewise, the audit firm also, they are looking for more money. Okay? So in the course of looking for more money, they need to get more clients. Now, when they're trying to get more clients, they should be mindful of the nature of the clients that they have. Right? What that implies is that they should carry out KYC, know your client. Know the promoters of the organization. They also carry out client identification or client screening to know who are the promoters of the organization, whether one way or the other they have been involved in money laundering or one illegality. Okay? That could implicate the audit firm. All right? And for the existing client that you have, because you are the one that audited them last year, as long as we want to audit them this year, they should also evaluate their client annually. That is why it's expected, best practice, that your letter of engagement should be revised every year. Okay? Should be revised every year. Don't make it something that is permanent. It should be revised every year. Because there are some things that happened last year that were not happening this year. You have to factor that into your letter of engagement. So that is how you can monitor. And when you know that you can no longer support that client, let them know that, because of the way your business has transformed, we cannot continue to support. Let them know. Okay? Particularly those public interest entities. What's a public interest entity? A public interest entity is an entity that, by law, they report to a government agency. Okay? I take it again. A public interest entity are entities that, by law, they report to what? A regulatory agency, a government regulatory agency or body. Example, you can see all the banks, they are PIE because they report to CBN. CBN is their regulator. All pharmaceutical companies, they report to NAFDAC, right? So they make them PIE. So PIE is different from PLC. I hope you understand. A company can be a PLC at the same time a PIE. Okay, and sometimes the company might only be a PIE and not a PLC. I hope you have that understanding. So please, yeah, somebody's raising on their hand. Please ask your question, Mr. Inze or Madam Inze.
Okay, yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
No problem. You're welcome.
Yeah, so I think I just wanted to speak to the definition of that PIE.
Okay.
I don't know because according to the FRC Act, I
Yeah.
think they define the PIE with some
Mhm.
criteria.
Yes.
Right. So because these things it cuts across all but it cuts across so many things in tax,
Yeah.
in audit, in
Yes.
SDR.
Yes.
Because having that definition now, although I don't know if I will be asked the definition of API, I'm not sure I'll be
Yes.
asked such a
You will not
thing.
be asked. You will not be asked, but you need to know. They might ask a question where they make reference to a PIE. They expect you to
Okay.
know what a PIE is. They will not ask you what is. They will not ask you what is a PIE or what is PIE. They will ask you a question. They tell you that ABC Limited is a PIE,
Okay.
public interest entity. So you expect you to know what you understand by PIE, and that's why I gave that
Definition.
definition. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. You're welcome. Another question. Another question. Are we good to go? Okay. The next one is engagement performance. So for engagement performance, so what that means is that in an audit firm, right, there should be a system. There should be a system of quality management that ensures there's proper supervision. What do I mean by proper supervision? So you started an audit last month. There should be a system that monitors all the clients on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, so that you don't leave out a client that's supposed to have completed the engagement over 2 months ago, and you see it's over 6 months, and that engagement is not completed. If you have a good system of quality management, you'll be able to track every of your clients. There are people that you have been assigned to handle that responsibility. Okay, and also remember that I made mention of something when I was discussing that chapter 3 with us. That is, you must not have more than 25% of your client's annual audit fee. I made mention of that as part of issues that can bring about independence, that can bring about compromise of the independence. Okay, I talk about the 25% that is for your client. Let me recap so that you understand what I'm saying. I said that, for instance, you have a client, you have your audit firm, and your audit firm you have 4 clients, right? And the 4 clients, each of them they are contributing 2.5 million every year to your as their annual audit fee. So 2.5 times 4, that's 10 million for 4 clients. Now, along the line, one of them decides to expand their business, and they now contribute, like, instead of 2.5, they're now contributing 4 million. So what that means is that what they are contributing now, right, is no longer 2.5, is now they are contributing 4 million. So that means invariably they are contributing like how much now? That is 12 million, right? As a whole. You understand? So 4 million, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5 in 3 places. That is 7.5, right? If I'm not mistaken. 7.5 plus 4. That's like 11.5, almost 12 million. Okay, I'm right. So what I'm saying here is this. So when you now, let's say all the 4 clients request for your services, you should not be partial and say, okay, I'm only going to render service to the first one because we are getting more in terms of audit fee from that one. You should be able to ration your staff to attend to all of them at the same time. Do you understand what I'm saying? That was the example I gave in that when I was explaining that chapter 3. Now, as part of the system of quality management, there should be somebody that is monitoring how the client contributes to the audit fee. So that those instances where you have somebody increasing the audit fee, they should look at what's the implication to the audit firm in terms of what, whether it's going to affect their independence. You understand? There should be somebody that is in charge to measure all of this as it happens. They must have that information at hand at all times. That's one part of engagement performance as well. Okay? They should be able to review, and they should have a system of what? Documentation. Documentation here means that they should have a system where they know how to archive information. I've worked in an organization before that when at some point we needed to request for audit documentation for over 30 years. And I was surprised. The engagement partner said that don't worry, we are going to go to our archives, we are going to extract that information, which he did. Imagine they don't have that archive. That means they will not be able to would not have been able to resolve that issue as at that time. They must have a good archival system and retrieval system of documentation. That's under engagement performance. Resources focuses on what? Ensuring you have competent, sufficient personnel, meaning that your staff are well trained, your staff are well equipped, your staff are intelligent, they are highly technically skilled, they are competent to carry out any engagement. It also means that you must provide them with tools. Tools means laptops. Tools means system that can carry out some data analytics. We call it data analytics tools, risk management tools, AI tools. All of these things are part of tools that you need to equip your staff with. They also have intellectual property. Intellectual property relates to information that relates to the client, to the entity. To the audit firm. Each audit firm, they have their own working paper. For instance, the checklist of S and Young is different from checklist of PwC. And the one that belongs to PwC or S and Young is exclusive to them as well. You understand? So that forms part of their intellectual property. Even though the arrangement might not, what information they have in these two documentation might not be the same, but the objective, the end goal is the same. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what we mean by that resources. The information and communication, that is information should flow internally and what? Externally, seamlessly. Nobody should, if you know you have an information that is going to benefit an engagement or a staff or a personnel, please, you need to divulge, you need to communicate, you need to send that information out. You don't need to gatekeep, you don't need to hide, you don't need to hold any information. So there are different ways that audit firms also communicate or they disseminate information. Some of them, they have WhatsApp groups. They can also send it via email. They can send it via phone call, right? But some of them have CUG, closed user group phones, where they can communicate and discuss at length without minding the core credit that they have used. So all of these are ways of what? Communicating vital information. All right. They also have what we know as what? Risk assessment process. So there is a way they should be able to, before they embark on any engagement, they should have carried out what we know as what? A preliminary audit risk assessment. A what? A preliminary audit risk assessment that shows what are the challenges they may face in the course of this engagement. They should be able to know. Not that when they are in, they not say, so this thing is very tedious. Like, why didn't we think of this now, before now? That should not come out from an auditor, because you should have carried out a preliminary audit assessment before you even embark on the engagement. Do your own findings and be sure that when you get this engagement, it's going to be a walkover. It's something that you can deal with, not something that becomes insurmountable to the audit firm. All right. So you must be able to, and when you come across some challenges or some risk, when they go for their engagement, they use risk-based audit approach. What is risk-based audit-based approach? They focus on the key areas of the client business. That's what they use. Okay. So, or if there are any areas that becomes very difficult or challenging, they also need to analyze and see how they can resolve some of those issues. because there is no audit engagement that is the same or that is seamless. There will always be one challenge or the other. They should be able to surmount all those challenges, okay? And for the Big Four, some of them, they have the advantage of escalating to their central technical department in the overseas, because they have technical department where they can escalate matters to, and they get it resolved. All right. Then there's monitoring and remediation. What does that mean? What that means is that there should be a team within the audit firm that their main responsibility is to keep improving on system of quality management. Okay, system of quality management is dynamic. It needs to be what? It needs to be watered. It needs to be supported from time to time. So there is what we call continual improvement, continuous improvement, whichever way you choose to call it, right? So there is a need for, there should always be room for improvement. So for instance, you carry out an audit, and as an engagement partner, your managing partner was not too pleased with the way you conducted the engagement. They might need to call you to order and ask questions. What are the challenges that you face while performing this audit? If they see it as something that is a one-off, they might say, okay, they might just advise, they might just make some recommendations and expect that you improve on it later on. But when they see that it's becoming habitual, it becomes continuous, they might need to either reduce such person of the engagement, or they will need to redeploy that person to other areas where they feel that that person can do what can excel. So those are what we mean by monitoring and remediation. So they monitor their staff, they monitor their engagement, and when there is any need for any area, any intervention to be carried out, they also ensure that all of these are done. So these 8 components or elements are important that you know them. You know them, okay? These are different from what you have prior to 2025. These are different, so you need to know them. So if you know that of 2020, prior to 2025, you need to jettison that of your system now and inculcate or embrace these ones that we have here. All right? So, in continuation, as part of the ISQ number 1, you must establish quality objective. I have explained it. What I mean by that is that you must have how you want to measure your quality, the same quality management in your audit firm. For instance, you carry out an audit so that the engagement partner or the engagement team, they lack some technical skills, maybe analytical skills or AI skills. It's a gap that you identified, right? You might need to train them. You need to send them on training so they get themselves equipped with those AI tools and data analysis skills as well, so that they can improve on their performance. Okay, you need to identify and assess quality risk. All right, so that's quality objective. They must be what? They must be smart. Smart means they must be what? Simple, measurable, attainable, realistic, and they must be what? Time bound. That's the smart that I mean. Oh. Okay? Then you must assess it from time to time. So if there is a risk, the one I made mention of poor training now is a risk that you have identified. You should find a way to what? Resolving it. Then you should also design and implement responses to mitigating those risks. So that training that I just explained is a response to mitigating the risk. It's one of the responses to mitigating the risk. So you have to see it through and ensure that this actually tackles that particular issue. Then you need to monitor the system and take remedial action when necessary. You need to keep testing, you need to keep assessing, you need to keep evaluating that system of quality management all the time. And when you identify any gap, those gaps should be what? Should be remediated, should be improved upon. Okay? So that's what we mean by that. So this is an example there, all right? Any questions so far? Observation. Sonia, please ask your question.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Evening, madam.
Sir, please, concerning, or should I say, according to the PDN and the
Yes.
class, you stated that the international standard on quality management is just
Yeah.
for the firms,
It's just for
like
the
for the firm,
international college.
right?
Yes.
So I wanted to know who is actually like the engagement team. Do they usually establish their own quality management, or they have to like follow they have to follow the quality management of the firm?
Okay. Since you just joined us, right? Did you start the class with us?
No. Yes, sir.
You started with us
Yes,
today.
sir. Yes.
You started
No,
this.
not today.
No, what I mean is that when we started today, chapter 5, you started with us.
Yes.
Or we have gone to some extent before you joined.
No, I started with you guys.
Why I'm asking this question because I've already explained it. See what I said, and I'm going to recap on what I said. What I said is that when you are going for individual engagement as a way to monitor the system of quality management, the system of quality management within the firm has nominated whoever is the engagement partner is the one responsible for maintaining system of quality management in each individual engagement. That whoever is the engagement partner is also saddled with the responsibility of what? Monitoring the system of quality management within the engagement under his purview. And I also said that for the firm as a whole, the system of quality management, the person that is responsible for ensuring the system of quality management works in an audit firm is the managing partner. So the managing partner responsibility is to see to it that they develop policies, they develop procedures that ensures that whatever the objective of system of quality management is supposed to be, they must be able to achieve it based on the policies and procedures that they have set in place or put in place. Have I been able to answer your question, madam?
Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Any other question? Are we good to go? All right, let's continue. So we go to the next area, design, implementation of the system of quality management. Now, what you need to note here is that the system of quality management that exists in KPMG is not the same system of quality management that exists in PwC. But they all aim at achieving the same objective. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what I mean here is that for you to look at the system of quality management, it has to do with the size of the audit firm. Okay? So the size of the kind of system of quality management that exists in Adebayo and Co. China Accountants is not the same system of quality management that exists in Piccadilly. It's not the same. So you have to ensure that you tailor your system of quality management to your firm size, to the size of your firm, the engagement that you are currently handling, and the legal environment where you operate. Okay? You must ensure that your system of quality management is designed such a way that it caters for the size of your audit firm, the engagement, and the legal requirement. You also need to communicate those policies and provide training. Any policy that you have not communicated is as good as non-existent. So you have to communicate those policies. You need to train your staff on how to ensure that policies or those policies and procedures are implemented. Then you must also ensure that these policies are followed through. So for instance, you have a policy on, let's say, on leadership, or you develop a policy on quality objective. That quality objective should be revised maybe annually or biannually or maybe once in 2 years. It should not be something that you just design and it remains there forever. It should be subject to review from time to time. Now that's how you can maintain, you can keep that document alive, you can keep that process alive. It's not like what we have in our universities, or particularly in our our public universities, where the lecturer, I don't know whether I see the same now, but when I was in my university those days, the note that the lecturer uses to teach us in class was the note that he has been using for the past 15 years. And we have had changes in government, we have had changes in policies, yet he refused to change, he refused to update his note. And when he's setting questions, he's going to set questions on what is currently happening. Is that not wickedness? So that's what I'm trying to say. So you must ensure you have a living document, you have a living policies, you have a living system of policy management in your audit firm. Okay? Then also, audit firm, as part of the information they need to keep, they must retain evidence of quality objectives. How do they measure their quality objectives? How do they measure risk? How do they identify risk? For all those of us that did CSME, that is Corporate Strategic Management and Ethics, for those of us that did it, you remember that you have a way of analyzing risk. You have to first of all identify the risk, you have to assess the risk, you have to mitigate, you have to report on that risk. And the responses, all of this must be documented. Then, if there are, how you monitor the system of quality management, you need to also document it. And when there are breaches, where there are gaps, how do you resolve? How do you detect? How do you mitigate those gaps? You need to also let them be documented for review purpose. Okay? Then, like I always say also, you must also always update your system. That's where you can do it. One thing that makes the foreign countries to be better than Africa is the fact that they keep updating their system. Us in Africa, our systems, they have been in use. You can see even our leaders, he has been in power for how many years? He has been in power, he has been in politics for how many years? We look at advanced countries, some of their leaders, or most of their leaders, they are new. They were not even in the annals of their history. Okay, so those are some of the things that we need to also emulate. Like I said, anytime you are developing your system of quality management, you must allow for what scalability. That is, you must allow for it to expand. Cater for what expansion, because your audit firm will not remain a small medium audit firm. It can move from a small medium audit firm to a big four. Like what happened to Aketola Williams and Co. Before now, while I was much younger, I used to know Aketola Williams and Co. But now, it's no longer Aketola Williams and Co. It's now Deloitte in Nigeria. So what am I trying to say? So no, they should always allow for what expansion. Don't limit yourself. All right? Because the small audit firm, they have a simpler system of quality management. Why this big audit firm, they have a more complex because they have different business units. All right? So you need to allow for that. For ISQM2, we are talking about engagement quality reviews. Now, where do you need engagement quality reviews? Majorly, you need engagement quality review when you are dealing with public interest entity. When you have engagement that are designated as high risk. High risk here means that you cannot afford to make mistake. If you make mistake, you want to audit a bank now, you now say that you turn out a audit report that is inappropriate. That is high risk. You cannot. Where it is required by law, regulation, or by firm's policy. So these are the areas where you need the services of what? The engagement quality reviewer, or you need to carry out engagement quality review more. Now, please note, engagement quality review is part of what they do in audit firms, but they are highly concentrated in these areas when you're auditing public interest entities, which are defined earlier. Engagement designated as high risk by the firm, then where required by law, regulation, or by firm's policy. Some of the elements you need to note here: eligibility. Now, whoever is going to be the engagement quality reviewer must be independent, experienced, and not part of the engagement team. I've said that earlier. Also, The engagement quality review must be completed before the audit report is dated. I also said that earlier. When you are presenting your documentation, your working papers, your draft audit report to the engagement quality reviewer, it must not be signed, neither must it be dated. So you must ensure that is done, okay? Before he looks at it, that's the first thing he's going to check. Hope they are not dated, hope they are not signed before he ventured into it. Then the scope, it focuses on significant judgment, independence, consultation processes, and the basis for opinion. He looks at what the engagement partner has done, the judgment, professional judgment he has what? He has exercised. He measures the independence, and he looks at how he has been able to consult, because the more consultation the engagement partner gets, the better the quality of the audit report. All right. Then the responsibility: evaluate compliance with firm's policy and assess sufficiency of evidence and conclusion. What that means is that as part of the responsibility is to check that the audit evidence that he has gathered or has obtained, they are sufficient and what? They are appropriate. That is, they are of quantity and they are of quality. Okay? Then documentation. He also ensures that after he's done with his work, he needs to record his name, the areas where he has reviewed, that is the scope, the conclusions he has reached, and when there are disagreements in opinion, how they were able to resolve those disagreements. All of this must be documented by the engagement quality reviewer. That is the scope of his own, right? So what is the objectivity? Number one, he needs to maintain objectivity. That is, he must be independent, he must be neutral. He must have a clear sense of judgment. That's what it means, okay? He must not be influenced by financial interest. Like, nobody should be able to influence him with money or any reward or gain, aside from the audit firm. Okay? He should maintain what? Decorum. He should maintain integrity and independence. Okay? And firm must have policies to safeguard the reviewer's independence. So because of the nature of his work, he must be truthful at all times. There's a need for his independence to be safeguarded. Okay? He should not be exposed to circumstances or situations where his independence will be impaired. All right. So that is what he needs to do. So here we are comparing the ISQM1 and ISQM2. So ISQM1, like I said, it cut across within the audit firm, okay? ISQM2 is specific to engagement level review. That this, it depends on the nature of the engagement. Like I said, on what circumstances do we need the ISQM2 engagement quality review? When you're auditing public interest entity, when a client or an engagement is considered high risk, and when it's required by law or regulation. So it's not on all circumstances you are going to use the engagement quality reviewer. It depends on whether you are auditing a public interest entity, you're auditing a client that is regarded as high risk, or you're auditing based on the specification of the requirement of the law or regulation. Number two, objective. It ensures that the firm meets professional obligation. In the case of ISQM2, it ensures engagement quality in high risk. That is, they should maintain system of quality management in any high risk engagement. ISQM1 is applicable to all assurance and related service firms, while ISQM2 is specific to certain engagements, like I said earlier. Reviewer role, you don't need a reviewer when you are using ISQM1. You don't need a reviewer. You only need a reviewer when you are using ISQM2. As the name implies, engagement quality review, you will need a reviewer. Then monitoring. ISQM1, undergoing assessment of system of quality management. SOQM is system of quality management, okay? That means ongoing assessment of system of quality. That means it monitors what is happening within the audit firm. Whereas for ISQM2, is specific to each engagement. I hope you understand the analysis, okay? The benefit of the ISQM framework. Number one, So why do we have this ISQM? Number one is because it strengthens audit credibility and stakeholders' confidence. It shows that the auditor or the audit firm, they have done a good job, and the confidence of the stakeholders is also what is also increased. It supports early identification of audit findings. So if there's anything that might put challenge or a risk or an exposure to the audit firm, it can easily be tackled at the early stages. Then it aligns with modern risk management practices that talks about risk identification, risk assessment, risk mitigation, and risk reporting. Okay. Then it ensures compliance with evolving regulatory expectation. That is, what that means is that as the law or regulation of Nigeria changes, it also ensures that some of these things are also replicated. You can see that before now we don't have ISQM 1 and 2, even though it has been in operation since 2022. But when we change our syllabus, when there is a need for us to incorporate it into our audit framework, we have done that, and that's what we are being that is what is being used now. Okay, so that is that. So this one is practical tips, some of the things your take home from this chapter. That's what you have here. Practical tips begin with a system of quality management, risk assessment. That's what they are saying here is that in an audit firm, right? How do you ensure you have a system of quality management? First of all, you have to carry out a system of quality management risk assessment within your audit firm to be able to identify the nature of risk that your audit firm is exposed to, how you want to assess the risk, how you want to mitigate those risks, and how you want to report on those. So you have to do that. Then number two, you need to assign somebody who is the quality management leader that will oversee the implementation of the system of quality management within the audit firm. Okay, and he is to define the rules for the engagement quality review, engagement quality reviewer role, and also ensure the eligibility that who qualifies to conduct engagement quality reviews. Then he also needs to conduct training for staff and reviewers from time to time, and he needs to establish a periodic internal monitoring of system of quality. That means there should be a team that occasionally or periodically, right, they monitor, they do an audit, internal audit, okay, and assess the risk challenges that they encounter in the current implementation of system of quality management within the firm. All right, those are all the things it needs to do. So, final reminder for students and practitioners: ISQM 1 is a living system. That is, you need to keep it updated from time to time and need to monitor regularly. That's how it becomes a living system. Number two, ISQM 2 enforces independence and accountability at the engagement level. Okay? It monitors accountability at the engagement level. Failure to comply may lead to audit failure, sanctions, and reputational damage. Okay? Then review. Then types of audit work. So what this means is that when the auditor is conducting their engagement, there are different types to the engagement that they perform. One thing you need to note here is that all the engagements that the audit firm they do with most of the engagement that they do within the audit firm, they are usually regarded as what? Peer review. What do you mean by peer review? So it's a review that is carried out by another partner in an assurance firm. So you are done with the engagement. Okay? You are done with your own engagement. Somebody else that was not part of the engagement but works within the audit firm can come and review what you have done. All right? That's what we mean by peer review. So another a type of peer review is the engagement quality review. Engagement quality review. Okay? Engagement quality review. Remove this control. Control is not there. Engagement quality review. All right? Engagement quality review is a type of peer review as well that is performed before the audit report is signed. Then you have audit review. Now, audit review is also similar to engagement quality review. The only difference there between audit review, let me just explain what you mean by audit review. Audit review is a type of peer review that is conducted. I told us that audit is scientific. So as we are carrying out the engagement, they have also assigned somebody else within the audit firm to carry out a parallel engagement. Okay? Using the same client. They will ask the person, you do the same. Do it independently. At the end of the day, you're not going to compare notes at the end of the day to see whether what the person has done and what you have done tally. Okay? They were going to see that both of them they tally. So if they tally, it shows that because it's been done on the spot, it's called auto review. Not that while the engagement is on, he is also doing it. It's called auto review. Okay, I don't really. We are going to look at the report, the outcome of both of them, of the engagement partner and that of the other partner. They want to, most time when they do this is because they want to confirm whether the person has the experience or has the competence to carry out an engagement on his own. That's one. That is an appraiser. Is a type of review that is done to confirm the probation, to confirm whether the staff is qualified to attain that position or not. The opposite is code review. The opposite is what? Is code review or monitoring review. After the agreement is done, already been signed, documented, and published, they will now say that, okay, go and review what has been done. Most time, this monitoring review is being done after the engagement has been completed. It's a code review, or we call it monitoring review. It's also a type of peer review. I hope that is clear. Any question before we proceed? Question, comment, observation before we proceed? Questions, comments, observation before we proceed? Are we good to go? All right, let's continue. We go to the next area. Like I said, this entire chapter is dedicated to what is obtainable in an audit firm. So applying and charging for professional work. Now, what do we mean? So if you work in an audit firm is not a charitable organization. I hope you know. It's a profit-making organization because they share profits periodically, even to their staff. So they are established to also make profit. So please note that. And once they're established to make profit, it's need for them to also advertise and publicize their services. So when they are advertising their services, there are certain things they must watch. They must ensure that they put in place. Number one, anytime they are going to advertise their services, right, they must not bring into disrepute the professional body, the firm and professional as a whole. What that means is that anytime they are going to publicize, advertise their services, they must do it in such a way that conforms with the ethics of the profession. For instance, they should present their case in such a way that they are organized, they are professionals. They should not do things anyhow. Okay? They should not do what? They should not do things anyhow. For instance, you want to advertise your service now. Don't now be saying, our idea and co, child accountant, is better than this other one. So you have to patronize us. You shouldn't use that word. Okay? You have to maintain you only need to mention your own audit firm, what you stand out to do. Okay? Number two, you must not make exaggerate claim for services offered or qualification. For instance, maybe you have not carried out a forensic engagement before, but because you now saw an offer that says that, oh, forensic engagement is they needed another firm that has competence in forensic engagement. You don't have any competence, but you just decide to say, okay, let me use Avenue to learn. And you now say that you have certification in forensic management or forensic accounting. That is making an exaggerated claim, which is supposed not to be. Then you need to possess, you must be truthful at all times, that you must always maintain what you do, what you know. If someone is going to patronize you, they will patronize you based on what you know. Do not say things that you cannot defend, okay? Then you must not discredit the service provided by other firms or make disparaging references to unsubstantiated comparison to the what? To the work of another audit firm. This is what does this mean? So what this means is that when you are making your advert, you don't say that you are the best audit firm in Nigeria. Go and check any advert that has to do with any of these audit firms. You will not see, even on their website, they will not say that we are the best. They can say that we are one of the top you are one of the leading, you are one of the foremost, you are one of the best. Those are the things you are going to see. In audit firm, you are not allowed to say you are the best. But when you say you are the best, what that means is that others are what? They are second best. And that could be what? What that person does is what we call taking disparaging references. It's not like a radio station that can tell you that we are the best. Like Ray Power those days say we are the first, we are the form, we are the best. Okay? But in audit firms, you cannot refer to yourself as the best. Even all the ICAN tuition centers too, you cannot refer to them as the best. You always see our own, you see that we're one of the leading ICAN tuition centers. That's what you are going to see in our website. You're not going to see we are the best. We are not the best. Okay? You say we are the best. What that means that what of other or the ICAN tuition center, they are what? They are second best. So it's not allowed to mention. Okay? Then you must not break any local or locally organized code of advertising practice. The APCON has a code of advertising practice. That's the Advertising Professional Council of Nigeria. They have a code of conduct. You must also maintain that in the course of your making your advert. Okay. Then you must not give information that is misleading. You must not give misleading information. You must not offer discount. Don't say, okay, if I carry out, if we are going to help you with your bookkeeping service, we are going to help you with your internal audit outsourcing. Then for the external audit, you can pay half the price. No, you don't give discounts in audit. Okay, when you are making adverts, you don't give discounts. All right, you need to know that. Then you must not make comparison with the fees of another service provider. What that means is that don't say, I want to this, we want to carry out internet and outsourcing, we charge 10 million naira, but go to PwC, they charge 40 million naira. You can see that we are cheaper. You don't make such comparison with the fees. It's not allowed when you are making your adverts. All of these are things you need to know. Okay? All of these are what? Things you need to know. Now, another thing you also need to note here is the fees. Another thing you need to note here is the fees. What do we mean by fees? Now, one thing that ICANN has not been able to do, okay, and I think maybe they know why they are doing it, that they've not been able to sanction what the fee is supposed to be. They allow for whatever you feel is ideal to be what? To be used to determine your audit fee. What does that mean? So you see that there are some child accountants, like I say, in Nigeria today, that they are not even earning up to 200,000. Yes, I say it. And some of them work in audit firms. They are not earning up to 200,000. Yes. Okay. Now, and we have some child accountants that are earning 8 digits as monthly salary. I said it. 8 digits, 7 digits as monthly salary. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what am I trying to say? ICANN has been flexible with the fees. So it depends on, so it's you that determines how you are going to determine what your fees should be. And as a guide, they are giving us 4 things that you can use to determine what your fees can be or what your fees should be. Number 1, in determining your audit fee, you should look at the seniority and professional experts of the person necessarily engaged in the work. What does that mean? So you are carrying out an audit. You have some people that are already fellow FCA. You have some people that just qualified, that are not yet even ACA. They just qualified for the examination. It's not expected that you are going to pay those ones that are newly qualified more than the ones that are fellow, that have FCA. Because the ones that have FCA shows that they have more professional expertise and they are more experienced. So their own pay should be much. So when you're determining your audit fee, if you want to carry out an engagement for a client, and you are going to make use of some of those fellows, that should form some of the basis. And audit firm, they pay per hour. Yes, if you don't know, you are knowing now, or you now know. Audit firms, they pay per hour. So if you are paying those fellow child accountants 25,000 naira per hour, you might be paying the newly qualified accountant maybe 10,000 naira per hour. It cannot be the same. And you need to charge appropriately. That can be used to determine what your audit fee is. Number 2 way to determine what your audit fee is the time expended by each. What that means is that the time you expend on each of those engagements can also be a factor, can be a determinant. The more time you spend, the more your audit fee will become. Okay? Number 3, the degree of risk and responsibility for which it work entails. So if the work exposes you or the audit firm to some form of negligence or some form of liability, that could be the base for you to charge your audit fee. Let me give you a scenario. So you have a client that just came to you and said that he got to you through a referral that their last auditor just resigned or just resigned from the engagement. That does not wish to continue. Why? Because the client is having issues with tax authorities that they want to seal up the audit the organization. You understand? And they now said that it's only your audit firm that can help them out of this problem. You know what that means is that they are putting your audit firm at risk, because if you cannot save them, at the end of the day, you are going to contribute to their downfall. But if you are able to save them, you are going to contribute to their what? To their credibility, one way or the other. So in a way like that, in such situation, you are in a high risk area, or you're in a high risk situation. So that could be a function of how you want to determine your audit fee. You know that you can do the work for them. You're not saying, okay, I'm going to help you. We have to pay X amount of money because of what it entails, what the work entails. That could be a basis. Then another thing is the priority and importance of the work to the client. Okay? The priority and importance of the work to the client together with any expense properly incurred. So if the client comes to you and say, I want to obtain a loan from the bank, and they say that I must present my audited account now within the next 2 weeks, normally it should have taken you like a month to get it done, but say you need it ASAP. That could be a basis for you to charge your audit fee. Okay, just like when you want to go for a wedding or your friend's wedding, you are part of the groomsmaid, or yes, or groomsmaid or whatever, right? You are part of the the bridesmaid. You're part of the groom, you're part of the bridesmaid. They've given you the Ashwebi over 6 months, but because of ICANN and work, you've not been able to decide. Only for your friend to call you that the wedding is coming up to next week. And you know that you don't have time. You have not even sold the Ashwebi. You now really went to meet one fashion designer and said, please, I want this thing ready within 2 days. That was how now. How possible? You say, I'll pay any amount. Okay, any amount. Normally, if you want to sold that, maybe it's going to tell you like 20,000. We now tell you that it's 100,000. You don't have a choice than to pay. So that's the same thing that can happen in an audit situation too. The client might desperately need the services, and that could be the basis for you to charge what the audit fee is. I hope that is clear. So that is that. Any questions so far? Questions, comment, observation? Question, comment, observation?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. So we move to the next one, which is what? Tendering. Now, tendering is another area that we need to look at. What is tendering? Tendering is a commercial process widely used by companies, especially larger companies, when they want to change their auditor. So when a company like MTN, Globalcom, a bank like UBA, GTCO, Postbank, they want to change their external auditors, they are going to publish it. Okay? They are going to announce it. So that process is known as what? Tendering. All right? That process is known as what? Tendering. And they will ask you to submit your proposal. Submit your proposal if you're interested in conducting the audit or being the external auditor of the what? Of the client. Okay? Now, this tendering is divided into 3 stages. We have the first stage, which is known as what? Initial consideration. What do you mean by initial consideration? So because this process is time consuming, it consumes time, it consumes time and resources. Okay? Rather than for you to waste your time and resources in this area, what do? You need to ask yourself, you need to take some steps. And those steps are what we consider as what? Initial consideration. So if you're able to, by the time you are done with this first step, that will make you to decide whether you want to continue or you will not continue. So you have to take the first step, and that first step regarded as what? Initial consideration. So these are the questions you need to ask yourself. You need to evaluate, you need to self-examine yourself as an audit firm. Should you go for this engagement? These are the questions you need to ask yourself. If your answers to these questions are positive, then you can proceed. Number one, you need to ask yourself, do you have the expertise to carry out the audit? Do you have the resources, manpower, skills, and all those things, tools to carry out the audit? Number two, do you have sufficient staff available at the appropriate time? Do you have enough staff? Knowing that audit firm, they have peak period and off-peak period. So if this client falls in a peak period, are you sure we have enough staff to conduct this audit? Number three, are there any ethical reasons why the firm could not act? That is, do you have any of those threats that might affect your involvement or your participation in the tendering process? Okay? Then, are there any problems of which the firm is aware with the current auditor or auditors? Specifically, in relation to a tender, the firm should ask itself. So what that means is that before you proceed, do you have any issue with the current auditor that is handling that engagement? Because before you proceed, you should be able to ask questions whether you can continue or whether you can submit your tender. There are certain questions you need to ask. Okay? Then you also need to ask yourself, why have you been asked to tender? You need to ask yourself, why is it important for you to tender? For instance, maybe you have all your clients. The highest client you have is paying you 5 million naira as audit fee. But this one is going to expose you to, maybe it's an MTN or it's a bank that wants to that might need your service. And they're going to pay the tune of 30 million or 40 million. That's going to change everything about your audit firm. That could be the reason why you want to tender. Okay? And also you need to ask yourself, in case there is a need, could you quote a lower fee? Could you quote a lower fee? Meaning that sometimes, we're going to talk about this much later in this chapter as well. There are times you might need to reduce your audit fee just to win that engagement. Can you do that? The next one you need to ask yourself, why are there any reasons why this is particularly attractive to your firm? Okay? For instance, will the work be carried out in a quiet time in a year, or is the work in the industry area where your firm wishes to develop its audit expertise or experience? If it's going to happen at the off-peak period when you are less busy, you can take it up and say, okay, this is going to increase our revenue as an audit firm. You also need to ask yourself, what risks might arise with this particular audit? If your answers to all these questions are yes, 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 and positive, right? That means you can proceed to the next stage. And the next stage will be what? The tendering process itself. Before you carry out the tendering process, what do you need to do? You need to carry out a preliminary audit risk assessment. You need to do what? Carry out a preliminary audit risk assessment. What does that mean? You need to, before you sign up for the engagement, you want to do the engagement, you need to visit the client. You need to ask the client that you want, there are certain things you need to know about them. That will inform your basis of, okay, submitting your tender or not submitting your tender. It's called preliminary audit risk assessment. Once that is done, right, next thing you're going to do is to prepare this is the preliminary audit risk assessment. This is it here. Right? You see it? Once you are done with that, you are now going to collate or compile your proposal, your tendering document, which will include your a brochure. What's a brochure? A brochure is a document that contains information about your key personnel in your audit firm. And sometimes might even include your client, some of your clientele that you have, okay? You include them. You're also going to include the areas of work that you do, where you specialize, where your audit firm specializes. You have to put it there. Yes, Madam Rabia too. I'm with you.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Evening.
Please, I want to ask you a question. Can you
Please.
scroll up a bit?
Okay. Up or down?
Up.
Is it fine?
On the questions that the auditors, the
That
audit
is down.
firm needs,
Down.
yes, need to, yeah.
Okay. Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. So I would like to confirm, is it at the point of bidding when the company or the client tender, is it at the point of bidding that the audit firm will now confirm if there's
No.
any issues with
No.
the current
No.
auditors, or how would they find out?
So let me tell you, let me explain. It's good you're asking this question, but I've explained it before. I was just explaining. Maybe you didn't get it when I said it. So what is what happened? So if a company like MTN want to change the auditor now, what they are going to do is that they are going to publish it in the national dailies. You understand? They are going to make it open in the national dailies. So from there, the audit firm will get, the audit firm also, they're always in touch with national dailies. They buy newspaper, they read newspapers, and they get this information also. So before they say, okay, let me submit my tender, let me prepare my tendering post document to submit, they need to ask themselves this question. It's like when somebody wants to marry now. Somebody approaches you now and say that, so I know whether you are married, I'm just using a case study. Someone approaches you and say that there is a suitor, there is one man that wants a wife, and he listed all his criteria. I want a woman that is working, hardworking, that can cook, that can do all of those things. He put it there. In case you are not married and you see that, oh, this person is somebody that I'm attracted to, you need to ask yourself, all of these criteria that this person has put out, which of them am I not comfortable with? Maybe he put there, say that you must cook, you must make food for him fresh food for him every day. And you are used to cooking in large quantity and storing it in freezer. This person say that I don't want to eat any food in freezer. I want you to be cooking for me every day. If that is the one that is going to put you off, I would have loved this man. I would have loved to marry this man, but this condition, I cannot meet it. I cannot meet up with it. That could be a reason before you even decide to go ahead and say, let me try and let me try my shot, whether this man is going to accept me or not. How are we to answer your question, Madam Rabiat?
Not entirely. This particular one I'm asking, how would the audit firm get the information from the current
They
audit?
will know now. Information is everywhere. See, just like when you want to apply for, you are seeking employment. You are looking for employment. How do you get it? You go to all this information are usually on social media. They're on LinkedIn. They're on national days. They are everywhere. They could even get it from some of their workers there. Someone has approached you and say, audit firm, I think I know you for some time. Will you be interested in becoming an auditor? These are the criteria that you need to do, all of those things. So there's a way you need to know. Information is everywhere. Information is not scarce as you think. You understand? We are working in a what do we call it now? www World Wide Web. The world is a global village. If there is any vacancy in abroad now, won't you get to know? I'm just asking you, if let's say you want to travel out now, and they tell you that there's a vacancy in another country, won't you get to know? Somehow you get that information, whether you are going to get it on social media, whether somebody is going to pass that information to you, somehow that information will get to you. It's not left for you whether you are going to take that opportunity or not. So this one is saying that should you want to take this opportunity, you need to ask yourself these questions. Okay? For instance, somebody tells you that, when you're using your social media, in the course of watching your social media, there's an information that just pop up on your TikTok and say that travel to US, and this is a country you have wanted to go, you have ever dreamt of going over since you were born. You say one day you'll be an American, and this is everybody have traveled, but you have tried. Maybe it has not been successful, but this one answered that he traveled to US with ease. And you try to do what? You try your luck. Before you try your luck, you need to look at it. How genuine is this person? Are you sure I'm not going to be scammed? All of these questions you need to ask before you deploy resources and time. The same thing you do for all of this, the same thing the other thing we also do. Because all of these things takes time. Before you compile your tendering document, it takes time. You understand? So some of the things they tell you that even to provide your tax clearance certificate that you have that means you pay your tax regularly. You want to present your income certificate. All of these are documents that they will require to be sure that you're a law-abiding audit firm. So that's how they're going to know. There's always a way the information will filter to them. Just forget it, right? Or just know it. There's a way the information will filter to them. Is there any information that is very scarce to get these days? I don't think so. Maybe you're not looking at the right sources or right area. I really answer your question, Madam Rabiat.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, so like I was saying before the question popped up, I was saying that the second stage is tendering process. So before you go on tendering process, you need to carry out what we know as what? A preliminary audit risk assessment. Okay? And that's an assessment where you are going to review, have like a snapshot or a short review. You visit the client and say, okay, I just want to know certain things about your organization. So you need to see whether it's something that you are comfortable doing. It's not something that is very robust, so it's not detailed. Just for you to have an understanding of what is obtainable within the client business. So once that is done, you're going to prepare your other document. Your document will be the brochure that shows your key staff and your clientele, the number of customers or clients that you are currently servicing. They will also include some information about the fee they are going to charge. Okay, the fee you are going to charge, you are going to put it there. You're going to talk about the services that you render, other services that you render, maybe outsourcing, maybe recruitment, maybe tax planning, whether business advisory services, all of that will be there. Forensic services, all of that will be there. All right. Then you are going to include some other document like your TCC, tax finance
Please
certificate,
scroll up, sir.
tax finance certificate, all of that will be there. Okay. And also, how you arrive at the calculation of your audit fee, you need to let them know. There are some fees that they are part of some fees, we call it reimbursables. For instance, if your client has branches maybe in other states or other country, you might decide to visit those states or those branches. So you use your money as an audit firm, then later you will be reimbursed. So that will become part of your reimbursables, okay? Then also, you need to also prepare a presentation because at the end of the day, there will be a time you will need to call for the proposed audit firm come and make presentation. And you know that presentation can go either way. Okay, so some people they are good at writing, but some people are people shy, they cannot face public. So if you are going to present somebody that cannot face public, and what the management of that client is looking at whether they will be able to work with the crop of the audit firm. They will need you to present. They are going to ask questions during the audit firms, and the one that they feel more comfortable will now be under scrutiny. At the end of the day, they are going to do all of that. All of this will be done at the second stage. All right. The documentation will be submitted. They'll give you a deadline for submission. So when you are determining, after you are submitted, they are going to close the tender. They will tell you that maybe you have to submit within 25 days or 20 days or 10 days. Once that day lapsed, what now happens is that you now have the last stage, evaluating the tender. Now, this process is the process that belongs to the client, the proposed client. They are the one that's going to handle this process. The first and second process will be done by the audit firm. This last process will be done by the what? By the client. So one of the things they are going to consider, some of the information they are going to consider, number one is the fee. Which of the audit firm quoted the highest fee? Which one quoted the lowest fee? They're going to look at the services that they render. They're going to look at which one render more services. They're going to look at the one that has a better geographical location or spread. Or maybe they look at if a big four is there, they might want to prefer a big four, okay? In that aspect. They look at the expertise of the firm and its staff. They look at your base. Who are your audit personnel? For instance, if you have somebody like the current minister of finance and coordinating the economy, that is Mr. Taiwo Idele, before he works with PwC, if you have his name on the brochure, on the profile of the audit firm, as now, You might want to consider that this person is well experienced, well exposed, okay? You look at the reputation of the firm, whether it has not been involved in any form of scandal in the recent past, okay? They're going to look at all of that. At the end of the day, they are now going to select. But one of the things, the first thing they look at is the fee. The first thing they look at is what? Is the fee. So once they are done, they are now going to communicate their letter, through their letter, to the successful audit firm that they will want to work with. So that one will also, so when they send the letter of award, then he's going to send his own letter of acceptance. After sending his own letter of acceptance, then letter of engagement will follow suit. Okay, the letter of engagement will follow suit by the audit firm again to the client. Okay, so that's the process. That is the process for changing the audit firm. Any question? Any question? Any comment? Any question? Any comment?
No, sir.
Okay, so we proceed to the next one. The next one we are looking at is low balling. Now, remember, I said something when I was looking at the initial consideration, that is, if there's a need for you to reduce your audit fee, that is what we call low balling. What is low balling? No, low balling is a practice that is already in place. You cannot change it. It's a practice of tendering for the audit firm, for the audit work at a very low fee with the objective of winning the audit. If it's successful in obtaining the audit, the firm will hope that it will be able to raise the audit fee in future years, or it will be able to recover losses on the audit fee by providing other more lucrative non-audit services. Now, let me explain what this one means. Now, lowballing is not something that is bad. It's just a strategy that is used during tendering, whereby it's a way where the audit firm want to outsmart one another. Let me give an instance. So you have the likes of PwC, KPMG, S&Young, and Adia & Co. Chartered Accountant trying to get the engagement with MTN Nigeria. MTN Nigeria, is a big company. Now, Ade knew that left to the firm, Ade & Co., they might not win that tender because they know that they cannot be in competition with the likes of the big four, PwC, KPMG, and S&Young. They have also indicated their tender or their intention to tender. Okay? Now, knowing fully well that the big four, their charges will be very high. Some of them might charge as high as 100 million. But Ade & Co cannot charge 100. If Ade & Co should charge 100 million, he's not going to have a chance. What will he do in that instance? Ade & Co now reduces. He knew that the big four, KPMG, S&Young, PwC, they charge 100 million apiece each. He knew that if he charges 100 million, he will not be able to win. What did he do? He reduces his own to what? 50 million. Now, if you look at some of the evaluation criteria by the client, number one is what? Is the fee. Now, you look at the fee and say, if KPMG, S&Young, and PwC can charge 100 million, and this one is charging 50 million, are you sure this person can deliver? And also, he was able to defend himself when he did his presentation. In fact, his presentation was very, very good. And that was the reason why they gave him that. So that was the way he outsmarted the big four. And the letter of award was given to what? Was given to Ade & Co. Now, Ade & Co has started the engagement. He collected 50 million. Mind you, the other audit firm, they charge 100 million. He charged 50 million. He continued. So after he has done like 2 engagements, they were impressed. I said, yes, this is value for money. They now said that, okay, Ade & Co, we want to extend our services with your clients. We want you to handle our tax planning. How much will you charge? Now, this is an avenue for Ade. So Ade & Co now said that for tax planning, you're going to pay me 100 million. They say, how come now? You're the one doing our external this now. Why 100 million? Okay, pay 70 million. What has he done? He has won look at it here. He has been able to increase his audit fee in future years because he's providing more lucrative non-audit services. That is what we know. It is known as what? Low balling. Is that clear? That is the definition. That's the explanation for low balling. It is already in practice. You cannot, it's not something bad, okay? It's a way that has been assessed, it's an approach, it's a strategy that they use during tendering process. I hope I've been able to clarify that. I hope the explanation is clear on low balling. Any question? Any question? Any comment?
No, sir.
All right, we go to the next one. Agreeing the terms of audit engagement, ISA 210, the objective of the engagement letter. Let me also summarize this one. What does this mean? So what this one means is just like before the engagement letter is signed, in an audit engagement, right? The audit firm will present the letter of engagement to the client for them to sign. Okay. Now, before the letter of engagement is presented for them to sign, they always have some discussion, back-end discussion. So it is the fallout of the back-end discussion that's going to inform whether the audit firm will be willing to release or present the letter of engagement to the client for them to sign. Let me give you an instance. So let me give you an instance, another area, so that you understand it. So you want to become a brand ambassador to Dano Milk, Ala Farms, okay? You want to be a brand ambassador to Dano Milk. Dano Milk will now, before they give you that brand ambassadorship, what would they ask you? They will ask you, are you allergic to milk? Do you take milk? You said yes. Will you be willing to be taking milk every time? You said yes. Now, if it's something that you are not comfortable doing, maybe you are someone that you want to watch your weight, you don't want to add weight, you want to keep your figure 8 or your shape. If you take me for a while, it's going to alter your shape, right? But for them to tell you that for you to become our brand ambassador, at all times you must be taking our milk. So all of these agreements will be discussed with you. Or they tell you that you want to become a model for a fashion brand. They'll tell you that you have to maintain your stature. So that means that there are some kind of food you cannot eat. Because if you eat those food, it's going to affect your stature. It's the same thing you're talking about here. So the audit firm also, before they give out letter of engagement, when they present letter of engagement to the client, they will have some back-end discussion. Some of the discussion will relate to who will be preparing the financial statement, how the management knew or knows that they will be responsible for the preparation of the financial statement. That at no point are we going to help them to prepare financial statement. And how they also know that they also know that in putting in place internal control system is their responsibility. It's not our own responsibility as audit firm. They're also responsible for the prevention and detection of fraud. It's not us. All of that will be agreed at the back end. So once the management sign off and agree to do all of these things, it's upon that the letter of engagement will be presented to them. That's why it is called agreeing the terms of the audit engagement, the objective of the engagement letter. That is what it means. They have to agree. If they don't agree, the letter of engagement will not be presented to the client for them to sign. So they must agree that they will want to pay financial statement. They are in charge of putting in place a strong internal control system. They always provide the auditor with relevant information at all times. Must have access to all personnel as well. All of this information must be provided. Failure to provide this information, the auditor will not proceed to giving them the letter of engagement. And once the letter of engagement is not presented, there is no audit engagement. I hope that is clear. When the letter of engagement is not presented, there is no audit engagement. So the auditor is required to refuse the engagement where the estimation of scope, that the manager says that, oh, certain information cannot be presented to you. We cannot present certain information to you. For instance, I tell you that we cannot present information that relates to our director's emolument. We cannot present it. So that could be a reason why the audit firm or the auditor will refuse the engagement. That's one. Two, they might have prepared financial statements not using IFRS. They decide to use another financial reporting firm outside IFRS. It's not acceptable. Okay, or if management refuses to accept those responsibilities, that is, they will prepare financial statements, they put a baseline and control, they will be responsible for the prevention and detection of fraud. If they refuse to agree to all of these responsibilities, then the auditor or the audit firm can refuse to present the letter of engagement. That is what we mean by that. All right. Now, some of the information you have in the letter of engagement are, number one, it's not all of these, only few, but some of these ones are there. In the letter of engagement, it includes the objective and scope of the audit, what the auditor intends to do, what it intends to achieve, and the area is going to cover. What will be the responsibilities of the auditor? What will be the responsibilities of the management? And the education of the underlying financial reporting, that is IFRS. They must agree to prepare financial statements in line with IFRS. Okay. Then, if there's any need for them to make reference to any form or content of any report whatsoever, maybe they have some working papers for the previous auditor that they needed to make reference to, they must have access to that. That information must also be contained in the engagement letter, that they want to get, they want to have access to that information. So all of this will be part of that letter as we discuss. So that is all for this chapter. Any question? Any question? Any comment? Any observation?
For me, no.
All right. So we have come to the end of this chapter. All right. The questions for this chapter, time is already fast spent. I'm going to send the questions to us, and I expect that you attend those questions. Okay. I'll send those questions to us. Maybe in the course of the week. I expect that you answer those questions. I think that's how we are going to do it. All right. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your understanding.